and welcome to Grandad's Reviews. In this video I want to have a look at affordable lenses for your X series cameras. Now in these uncertain times at the moment, I think all of us are looking at reducing our spending, but we still want to carry on our hobby. Now if you've got the budget and you've got the money, then the Fuji lenses are excellent, and I wouldn't recommend anything different. If you can afford it and you want to buy new lenses for a Fuji camera, then go for Fuji lenses. All the lenses that Fuji make are of excellent quality, but if you've just brought an X-T30, X-T3 or something like that, and you've got it with the kit lens, and you're thinking, oh, I'd like to expand my lens collection, and you look at the prices for Fuji lenses, yes, they're comparative to similar lenses in different camera systems, but the one disadvantage they've got is that on the second-hand market they still hold a very high price. So if you are on a budget and you think, well, I'll buy a second-hand Fuji lens, because they've not been out as many years as Canon, Nikon, Olympus, those sort of camera systems, the used prices are very expensive. So I thought I'd have a look at alternatives and where you can just save a bit of money. So when I first got into Fuji, I had the XE1, and it came with this 18-55 kit lens, and this is an excellent kit lens. It's fantastic. I got the XE1 in the Fuji refurbished scheme, and it came with that lens, so all in all the package was cheap. I then brought me XT1, again a refurbished one from Fuji, and this one came with the 18-135. Again, another highly underrated Fuji lens, and again it was reasonably priced because I had it with a kit. But then I thought I'd like to have a wide angle. I'd like to have something for landscapes. The 18 on the 18-55 is reasonably wide, but I wanted to go wider. So then you look at a 10-24 and you're looking at quite an expensive lens. I also wanted something for wildlife photography. So I needed a long lens. And at the long end you're looking at the 55-200. Again, quite an expensive lens, expensive second hand. 100-400, even more. What I did find was this 50-230 XC lens. I got this as a grey import, £116 I believe I paid for it at the time. Very good lens, but very slow lens. At the long end you're at 6.7. So I thought, well, what is the alternatives? And as you saw in a previous video, I'll put the link up in the corner, I got myself one of these, and this is a Canon EF to FX adapter. Now this was just a cheapie, just to see if the concept would work okay, and this was nearly £50, but then I got £10 knocked off it because I can't upgrade the firmware, and I complained and got some off it. But you're looking around about £50 for that, which isn't too bad. So when I got that I thought, wide angle. So this is the Canon 10-18, which is 4.5 to 5.6. Okay, the 10-24 is an f4 all the way through it, but this is considerably cheaper, and what I found is the autofocus is just as good as my 18-55. I've actually not noticed any difference whatsoever. But what I did go and do was pick up one of these. This is the Fringer EF to FX Pro 2, which comes with the aperture ringer on the actual adapter, and it's also compatible with more Canon lenses. Bit dearer though. So then I decided I'd like a prime. Now 50mm was what I was after, and Fuji do the 50 f2, which is an excellent lens. Again, price wise, yeah, comparative to other makes and models, but still expensive. So I got a Canon 50, and this is a 1.8, so it's a little bit faster but considerably cheaper. And then for the telephoto end, I thought, well, if I'm going telephoto you need decent glass, so I came up with this 70-200 f4 L lens. Canon lenses are excellent, especially the L range. That's what the professionals all use, wildlife and that. Image quality Alice is very good as any of the Fuji lenses, but considerably cheaper. Autofocus on it, probably not up to the same speed as the 55-200. It's better than the 50-230. That's quite slow. This is certainly better. The tracking works with this. Continuous autofocus all works with this as well. So those Canon lenses fill the gaps that I've got in my collection. Now what I've done is I've put a little bit of a comparison chart of the prices of the comparable Fuji lenses to these Canon lenses. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at that chart and then we'll come back and just have a final discussion on it. So here we have my comparison chart. So we've got the Fuji 10-24, new at 799, used at 600. We've got the Fuji 50 f2, new 479, used 350. Then we've got the 55-200, new at 615, used 400. That gives us totals of 1893 new, 1350 used. Then we've got the Canon equivalents. Canon 10-18, new at 195, used 85. Canon 50 1.8, new £99, used about 70. And the 70-200 f4 we've got new at 639, used at 300. Plus we had the Fringer on it, new at 345, used around about 200, giving us totals of 1278 and used 655. So that gives us some decent savings. So we've got savings over news of 615 and savings used at 695. So it's a good saving. You're nearly halving the price, even with the Fringer EF2FX Pro 2. And you could make that cheaper by getting the Viltrox, which is about £140 cheaper than that new, and probably used you could get for about £100. So I think it's having some decent savings looking at that comparison. So as you can see on that chart, there's a considerable saving to be had between the Fuji lenses and the Canon lenses, new and second hand. Now, having used these lenses, I haven't found any real downside. Yes, the autofocus might not be quite as snappy as native Fuji lenses, but it's not far off. The very cheap adapter I've got sometimes throws a bit of a curveball on the focusing, but the Fringer one I've not really had any problems. I do have the Canon 300 f4. If I'd have done a bit more research, I'd have found that Fringer doesn't list that in their compatibility list. They do the f4IS, but not that one. So this doesn't work too well with that. But surprisingly, the cheap one works excellent with the 300mm. So keep this on the 300 and I'm fine. I'll put some images up that I've taken with these Canon lenses. I'm not going to compare them to the Fuji lenses because that's not what you're going to be doing. If you can afford the Fuji lenses, you'll buy Fuji lenses. If you want a cheaper alternative that will fill that gap, these are some of the lenses that you'd go for. So I want to show you what images they can produce. I hope this gives you a quick insight into what alternatives there are to the Fuji lenses. As I say, if you can afford and you have the budget for genuine Fuji lenses, that's what you should get. You'll get the fastest AF and they're designed for that sensor. But if you're still on a budget but you still want to have similar focal ranges, then I think the Canon route is a good one to go to. You can go for cheaper adapters, Viltrox or something like that, rather than the Fringer, which will bring the price down as well. I hope that just gives you an insight into what's available. Enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified, hit that bell button. Till next time, see you later.